Hey there, it's your host Dan. We're up to part 17 of the C4 front end crash repair that I'm doing myself, DIY. And in the last video I was working on getting things sanded, the bumper. Right now, at least all the exposed areas that you can see, I've started with 220, then went to 320, and then used a red Scotch-Brite real lightly. So I'm somewhere about the 400 grit level on all areas of the front bumper that are exposed. So that's pretty much just about ready to go for primer. There are a few areas that I kind of can't get to until the bumper cover comes off, but I'll deal with that just before it's about ready to go. The hood is still sitting in 80 grit. I've got some fiberglass filler coming, so I'm kind of stalled on that. So for now, I'm going to work on a few other things and get as much as I can out of the way. The doors to the headlight we already had previously done, and here and there, when I felt like it, I was working on sanding this headlight bucket. This was double painted. It originally was silver, and then somebody painted a nice thick coat of red on it. It had some paint runs in it and also some rock chips in it too, which kind of caused me to over sand it. That's kind of my fault, being a novice at this. I shouldn't have went so deep. I should only went down to the primer and then used a fill for some things, but this is okay. This part is pretty darn sanded well. You can see it's almost got like a nice sheen on it. Same thing, 320 and then the red Scotch-Brite. So this should be ready to go for primer. Although this took me, oh boy, equivalent of maybe a full day just to sand just this one headlight bucket. The red paint that was on there was, once again, really thick. So was the clear. I had to take it down with 80 just to knock the red paint off, and then after that I used 220 because I didn't want to start gouging it, and I was hoping not to take off as much. But once I used the 220 and then went to 320 and the Scotch-Brite, it got to the point where I eventually removed all the primer off it. But big deal, it's going to get primered anyways. But that's kind of a something I should pay attention to in the future. If I do something like this, I don't want to necessarily take it down this far. My goal was really only to take it down to the primer, but it looks great, and I think this will come out good. This is the headlight bucket for when the headlights are on from the driver's side of the car. This wasn't damaged in the accident, but I'm kind of on a fence. It's already painted. It's just, I guess, okay condition. If I use the light here, let's see, we've got some scratches right here, a little scuff here. There's a scratch right here on the edge. Let me see. Nope, my fingernail doesn't catch that. The front edge. Oh, we got a fairly good scratch right here. That's just starting to grab with my fingernail. See one here on the edge, a couple right here on the very front. There's one deep one there that really, it's only kind of a pin dot, but it grabs pretty hard. And let's see here on this side, more scratches over here. It's kind of discolored down here. Nice good scratch along the edge. I'm pretty sure that this is the factory paint that's on this bucket. Just because of the way the orange peel looks, I can't spot any kind of imperfections or sanding like it's ever been painted over. But one worry I have is that if I don't do anything with this and I get everything freshly painted black, is this, it's kind of odd to say, but is it gonna match? I mean, will this look a touch off? And also it's got these scratches in it. So do I want to put in the effort to go sand it, like, not quite like that other headlight, but take it down? I could really just scuff this with 320 and just paint over this a second time. I'd be okay with that because it's already black. But I think what I'm going to try to do is, since this is the factory paint, and most of the time this will sit under the hood, you don't see it unless it's dark out, and you probably won't notice that difference I'm talking about. I'm probably just overthinking it, micro geeking it. I'm going to try to wet sand this out, basically do some paint correction on here. I'm pretty sure I can get out like this right here pretty easily, and some of the deeper scratches might just about disappear. I'm not sure if they're fully going to go away, but I don't want to break through the clear coat, obviously, because if I break through the clear coat on this, then they are for sure getting repainted. But if I can do some wet sanding on this and restore this and make this look nice and brilliant and black, I will probably just go with this, because that's one less part I have to pay to get painted, and it's one less part that, you know, has to get sanded, then primed, then sanded, then painted, then sanded again, then buffed. I mean, that's a lot of work. Even though this is a small little piece, you know, you kind of doing a section at a time, this section and this section and this section and this and this. So I'm going to try to see if I can restore this and make this look as good as possible. And if I'm happy with the result, I'm just going to keep it as is. Today I'm going to concentrate on refinishing the underside of the hood, and you know, you don't really see the underside of the hood that much, and it's pretty much black right now, but it could be better. Let me get the camera off the tripod and we'll go over it and I'll show you exactly what I mean. The finish underneath it's just okay. It's not the greatest. I mean, while I have the opportunity, I might as well just take the time and make this look as good as I can get it. You can see it's got some spots, some speckles where I went through the paint, around the lights where it's a little light. Passenger side, same condition pretty much as the driver's side, except for right here, that spot right there next to the hood bracket. I believe that's where the oil slings out of the air conditioning compressor and embeds itself to the underside of the hood. If you try to clean that, that will remove the paint. That is really, really difficult to remove. Hood support bracket's got a little bit of rust on the very edge. I can easily fix that, make that go away, look like that was never there. And right here in this test spot, I've already applied a little bit of paint, so this is what it is going to look like. I'm going to use a red Scotch-Brite pad, and I'm going to use this to scuff all the surfaces underneath. I'm just going to kind of go over them semi-quickly. I'm not gonna, you know, sit there and focus in one spot for too very long. It's kind of pretend like you're just kind of clean wiping down the panel, not trying to sand it, just to get it scuffed enough so that when we spray the new paint on, it's gonna stick. And the Scotch-Brite's a really good thing to use because it's bendable and it gets in all these little areas that would normally be hard for you to get into. I think that was a little less than an hour it took me to go over everything on the underside with the Scotch-Brite, get it all nice and scuffed up, put some blue painter's tape over the emblem that's in the middle, and also a couple other little nylon fasteners I don't want to paint over. To clean the underside of the hood, I'm going to use this Duplicolor grease and wax remover. I dumped the contents of this can, poured it into an empty spray bottle, so I will be spraying it on. Reason being is I don't want to drench the panel. I don't want it dripping all over the place. I want to use as little of this as possible. I've only got about a half a bottle left. So the idea being I can just spray it on, get in, get out, get it clean, not over wipe it, not have it drip all over the place. So it should go real easy, real quick, real fast. I'm guessing 30 minutes and I'll have everything prepped and ready to start for paint. Took about 20 minutes maybe to go around the whole underside of the hood with the wax and grease remover and the spray bottle. Glad I did this because I still have about a quarter bottle left. As I started out with a half a bottle, I didn't really make a mess or anything like that. But this hood here, when I picked it up, originally it was outside in the dead of winter, propped up against a building, so it was filthy. I cleaned it once already as best I can, but this will clean it even further to prep it for paint. And when I was wiping it with the rag, I could tell the harder you push in with the rag, the more it starts to like grab in, because it's going to want to take that layer of paint off. Over there where the AC throws up its slag, there's a lot more paint taken off because I rubbed it about as clean as I can get. Hopefully that'll disappear. Here's the paint I'm going to use to paint the underside of the hood. It's a Rust-Oleum Rust Performer paint. It's like a kind of a satin black. I've used it in the previous videos on some of the other parts. I know exactly what this is going to turn out like as far as the sheen and how it's going to cover. It's a pretty darn good paint. You'll hear me beef about the nozzle in maybe the other videos or whatnot. And these are just garbage. I mean, I wish they would just put the old one back on here. I don't know why they're trying to reinvent the wheel. I've got one of these little handles here that would snap into the top of the spray can and would allow you to almost pretend like, you know, you're a pro painter with a real spray gun. But since they changed the tip, this became useless and I can't use that. Thanks, Rust-Oleum. But I'll get it done anyways by just pressing down on the top. I've got gloves on. It's not like I'm going to get paint on my hands anyways. Just that handle thing would give me more control. So enough complaining. Time to paint the hood. Yeah, I got to put it on real thin and go turn my exhaust fan on so we start pulling these fumes out of the garage. My exhaust fan, which is up in the ceiling here, is working excellent for this. It's pulling the all the paint fumes right up and out of the ceiling. Otherwise I'd be choking in here. I've got about 2/3 of the hood done with just that one can. It's making a big improvement underneath. It looks really nice. A lot nicer than the hood I had on before, that's for sure. I still have the other third on the passenger side to do. I'll get that done and then I'll come back and dust coat it one more time, kind of a second coat. Make it all even. Got to go to the store to get some more paint because I ran out. But I would think that the entire underside of the hood, if you were going to paint it yourself, would take about 2 to 3 cans of spray paint. I used a painter's drop cloth, one of those things you get from the dollar store for $1, and put that around the front nose of the car. It just took a moment to wrap this around and prevent the overspray from getting all over everything. I had the old hood resting here on this part of the wall, blocking my lawnmower and access to my cabinets. I finally figured out what to do with it. Let's go outside and take a look. So there's my old hood. I didn't know what to do with it. I couldn't figure out anything. I don't have a truck to go dump it. I took a saber saw and we cut her down into little pieces. And guess what? The garbage man's now gonna take her. But I'll tell you, that smell of burning fiberglass and metal when you're cutting through it with a saber saw blade. Alright, so that's it. This is what she looks like after about 3, maybe 4 hours time total, even going to the store too. About $20 invested, 3 cans of rattle can. Got this done. It looks a whole lot better than it ever did. That's for sure. This hood was a mess when I first got it, pretty much. And now it looks great. You know, I wouldn't say it looks absolutely perfect. Maybe just a touch of tiger striping there in the middle, but you know, you're shooting rattle can, that fan pattern, it's not wide like a professional spray gun. And I don't want to spray it on too thick. This kind of paint, you really only want to use 2-3 coats and then stop. Yep, looks really nice. Really, really nice. I'm pretty surprised, you know, that it turned out this nice with just rattle can. It's pretty close to what it looked like when this thing was built down in Bowling Green. The bracket over here, where there was that little bit of rust, gone. You don't even notice that was ever even there. And down here in the front, you know, I made sure to tape off the emblem, and even I taped off the little nylon inserts down here too. Just, you know, attention to detail. I mean, I know most guys would probably just paint right over those and be like, whatever. Yeah, but it turned out great. I think it really did. In one of the first videos where I started taking everything apart on the car, everything was bagged and tagged, and it was done in the fashion where I wrote down what it was, not only that, but how many screws were in the bag, says 4 of them, and what step, like, of me disassembling parts. This was step 3. I think 1 was the license plate bolts. So the idea would be to go from the highest number back down, but some things, you know what I mean, like this, I can put this back together right now and just kind of get it out of the way. But these are special screws. These are like a threaded machine screw. This is not just like a typical little screw that would hold up a little plastic light. You know, everything's like a big erector set in this car. You don't want to lose the screws. You want to make sure that what screws came out of what locations go back in those locations. There we go. Hood lights are now installed. I think that looks better. That could have waited until final reassembly, but hey, that's just one more thing I got out of the way. I think this looks spectacular. Let me know how you think I did. Did I do good on this? Would you do this to your car? Would you want to do this to your car? Do you even care? Did you watch the video to the end? Let me know. I'd like to hear from you if you're interested in watching this particular video set of series fixing the Corvette. That's all for now. Hope you enjoyed watching the video, and as always, thanks for watching.